Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode of Ride 2 here on this channel. Now in today's episode we're doing another setup that's been requested, and the bike that's been requested is the Yamaha YZF-R1M. Now this is an awesome bike, a very powerful bike, but it's not a bike that I see being used a lot, and I want to see why. I'm going to test it out today, really put it through its paces and do a setup at the end of the video. I hope you like this video, and thanks for the request. Now let's get straight into looking at the stats. Right, let's have a look at the stats of this bike. Now it's got 971 performance points with a 9.4 acceleration, 9.3 braking power, 9.4 top speed and handling 9.1. It's got a staggering 247.4 brake horsepower. This bike is a beast. So let's get straight into racing this bike. Right, the circuit that was requested as well was Nurburgring GP, which is an awesome circuit and is used quite a lot online. Now, I'm going to do this setup with no assist, no anti-wheelie, but just remember guys, if you do use anti-wheelie, it will stabilise the bike a little bit more because it does wheelie up a lot because of the power. But let's get straight into this and see if we can get a victory. Right, so here we go on the Yamaha YZF-R1M. Let's see if we can get a good start into that first tricky corner, and we've got to try and keep that front wheel down. So I don't always go open the throttle full, I just gradually open it, just keeping that front wheel down and trying to get the power down, which worked nicely. Now I always go a little bit wider into this first turn so I don't get caught in all that mayhem, and I've managed to get through there nice and clean. Now you can just slightly accelerate up the hill, but keeping it nice and smooth. It does drop into the corners nicely, and just trying to open the throttle slowly again, trying to keep that front wheel down because this bike is so powerful, so you've got to be careful on that. But like I said, if you use anti-wheelie, you are going to have a little bit more control over the wheelie. Right, that's just open it out a little bit more here, don't make contact with that bike, and we're up to P3, so that's a good start. Can we get up the inside of this bike here? Yes we can. So we get up the inside again, dropping into those corners nicely, keeping it nice and smooth and controlled, and it is really good guys. I'm finding this bike really good to control even with no anti-wheelie, but I have adjusted the gear ratio to combat that, and I will show you that in the setup. But you don't have to do that because around this circuit you probably would go with a lower ratio and use its excellent acceleration and speed. I've just gone for that, just mainly to keep the front wheel down, but it still gives me enough acceleration to keep up with the bike in front. That's just all got out to back off there, just went onto the curb. That was my own mistake. I just didn't want to go through there, got a little bit of a wheelie there, so I just accelerated a little bit too much, but again managing to control it nicely. Now we're into a section where we can really start opening out this bike, and we want to get past this one in front and start getting away from the bikes behind us. But again, like I said guys, once you've got the bike up to about third gear, you can really open it out, and it just shows so much power. The braking power seems very good as well, so just managed to stop it nicely into that turn, see nice and controlled even without anti-wheeling, managing to control it nicely. Nice decent speed, nice and smooth right into this turn, and it does drop into the corners nicely. See, just nice and controlled. I'm not fighting with it at all, but I am only gently opening the accelerator. I don't think without anti-wheelie you can go full on the throttle. You've got to gradually open it just to keep that front wheel down, and you might see me and now and again just overdo it, and I will get that wheel up, but as long as you back off, press the back brake and you back off the accelerator, you will the throttle, you will be able to get that wheel back down quite easily. Right, let's just try and keep up with this bike here. We need to get past him soon, and then we can start pulling away because we've definitely got too much power for these bikes in this race, and you'll see that once I get past that I will just start powering away. Right, let's really try and get the power down here and start thinking about if we can get past this bike. Right, let's get nice and tight into that corner again, nice and controlled, nice and smooth again, nice into that turn again. You can get right tight to the apex on this bike. It does turn in really nicely on this setup, and I was quite chuffed with this one. This is a setup I had previously for a different circuit, and I put it on the bike to see what it was like around here, and it just worked amazing. So I thought, why not just change? Well, the only thing I did change, like I said, was the gear ratio, but the setup worked nicely. So it's probably a setup that you can use on many different circuits, which is good. See, that was a lot smoother through there. We didn't have to back off, but let's see if we can take this bike on the inside and get nice and tight into the corner. Yes, dived up the inside, nice and controlled, stopped it nicely. See, no reaction for the suspension there as I turned direction, and it's nice and smooth, and again gently opening the throttle, just keeping that bike under control. Once you feel like it stops bobbing around at the front, you can really open it out, and then you will just absolutely annihilate the field, because this bike is extremely quick. Once you get up to about 3rd or 4th gear, it is so powerful, and that's why it's got such a high performance point rating, because it is a very powerful bike. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, not a lot of people use this, and I just cannot see why, because I find it a very, very consistent bike, a very good handling and fast bike, and it will compete against a lot of the bikes in this performance points range. So I might start using this one online and just see just see what it's like against the other bikes that are in a similar bracket, and just see how it competes. I haven't used it a lot. Right, that bike's getting nice and tight behind us there. That's just keep it nice and controlled. I don't need to overdo it. Now, like I said, if you used anti-wheelie, you'll probably be able to accelerate a lot quicker and gap the field, but I'm just keeping it nice and smooth, so I don't come off the back by doing a massive power wheelie, which you like this. See? That's how easy you can get the front wheel up. I thought I'd just show you there that if you just try and gas it too much, you will just get that front wheel up quite easy. Right, get nice and tight to the apex again, keeping it nice and smooth, and let's get away from them here. Let's see if we can get it nice and smooth into this next turn, and then we will just power it to the end of the race and get hopefully a nice victory. Let's get nice and tight there. Well, it was a little bit wider there, but that was okay, and we should be able to get through here nice and smooth, because we haven't got a bike in the way, and we have dropped pace a little bit, but that was probably because I got that wheelie at the start of the lap, and that probably slowed us down a little bit. Right, we're starting to pull away here, nice and tight into that turn again. This drops nicely into the turn. It is probably one of the best handling bikes in this range. I must admit, it is very, very solid. It is a good bike, and look, once I start getting ahead and I start really opening it up, I am absolutely killing the field. They cannot live with this bike at all. And even with the change of the gear ratio, I mean, I've got it on, I think, final ratio 5, but you could have gone on 4, and if you use probably anti-wheelie on low, you probably would have won this by a country mile, because this bike is extremely quick in the first few gears. So there we go, guys. It looks like we're going to take the victory. Let's get a nice power wheelie here to finish off, and we will get into the setup. And like I said, guys, that was nice and comfortable, even with the odd wheelie here and there. Managed to control it nicely. And yeah, I found it an all-round awesome bike. So thank you for the person that requested this. I hope you enjoy this setup. Hope it works for you. It's worked for me on, like I said, on many circuits, and I feel there's a lot more in the tank in this bike. I think you could really set some decent times. So right, so let's get straight to the setup. Right, let's get straight into the setup. Now, there is a couple of things I would change on this setup if I was going to change something, and that's the spring stiffness. I went quite hard at the front and slightly weaker on the rear, but I think you could have gone softer. The preload, I went slightly higher because you want a taller bike, so it leans in better. Compression damping, I went both on 5. That seemed perfect for this bike. And the rebound, I went slightly higher than I normally do, and that felt perfect as well. It dropped into corners nicely. It changed direction without too much reaction from the suspension. Now, let's get straight into the gearing. Like I said, I went on ratio 5 for this, just because I was using no anti-wheelie and slightly higher on the first and second gear. But by the time you get to the third gear, you sort of got control of the bike. You've got the power down. That seemed absolutely fine, but you can muck around with the gear ratio. It depends what circuit you're on. Now, please give this a big thumbs up, and I will see you soon for some more Ride 2 here on this channel. So thank you so much, and bye bye.